All right, so let's get into this. Basically, I had a tough time loading this video. Two computers would not load it. I had to use a fake IP to go ahead and load the thing and then get in. So I'm a little curious as to why I'm getting a little bit of backlash from either YouTube or basically something going on with the internet IPs just to be able to run this video. Now, with that said, as you guys know, Attorney Walter Hnot, the most viewed and subscribed to disability attorney in America. We cover Social Security law. We also cover Social Security politics. There's usually somebody in the comment section who will be hasty or aggressive, saying that we shouldn't cover politics. But I think it's important for you to know not only where your politicians stand, but what the future of this program is going to be when it comes down to you continuing to receive those benefits. Now, let's talk real quick. This video is going to answer specifically what is the stance of Kamala Harris when it comes to, VP Vice President Harris, when it comes to essentially her future as potential president. She has now effectively taken the nomination. She will go forward on the ticket directly against Donald Trump. With that said, a lot of the information about her is very, very not complete on where she stands on Social Security benefits. Let's get into it. This is an article specifically on her, Kamala Harris's platform, how her plan for Social Security and Medicare could impact your finances. Basically written by Camaro Diorio, Go Banking Rates. Let's go through some of the basics here. It is widely believed that Vice President Harris will be nominated. She was. Should she be elected as president, Harris will expand on pre-existing plans and provide future benefits to retirees. What might Harris's proposed plans mean for you? Now, remember, when I read this to you, I am fully aware that no one has any clue as to where she actually stands on policies and rule changes that she wants to do when it comes to the Social Security Administration. So we have to take historically what has been done in this field over President Biden's, actual presidency and pull the information together, stack it together so that it makes sense for going forward. All right, here we go. Social Security. In regards to Social Security, many Americans are finding themselves concerned about the program's future. Not only that, but their finances. Nobody can afford the food when they go to the grocery store. There are 11,000 baby boomers that are turning 65 each day, tapping into our Social Security funds at a fast rate. In 2023, the reserve stood at $2.9 trillion, and the government is spending more on Social Security than saving. Okay, a lot of that is due to basically Gen Y, millennials, and Gen Z not having good jobs, not making enough money, and basically coming into an America that has been completely mismanaged. Unfortunately, that blame falls onto prior generations, which are the boomers. Just don't kick around with it. The shit is what it is. And so as a result of that, because a lot of the manufacturing is done outside of this country, because we didn't really handle our oil resources and deal with our petrodollar properly, and our international trade currencies being kicked around in a not so good way, we're in a bad spot, which means the new generations aren't coming into good jobs. They're coming into crap jobs. And these crap jobs, unfortunately, cost a lot of money. It's not the cost of essentially those individuals to get the job. It's the cost of them to get educated to get the job. Because as you know, most jobs that you could get as a boomer, potentially back in the day, you'd only need a high school education, maybe college. Now you're needing masters, doctorates, and professional doctorates, such as attorneys and doctors. So, you couple that with 3 to 4 times as much of actual student loan that they were able to charge people, fraudulent rates, fraudulent loan systems through the government, and you have an entire generation, multiple 3 to be exact, who are failing. They're retired because they can't afford to pay for retirement benefits. Yes, SSDI benefits are still safe. Based on new projections, the reserve would be gone by 2035. That's actually an incorrect number. I've read through many, many times the statistical details related to how the actuaries come up with their future planning. The number one thing that they are not getting right is the fertility rate. They keep that fertility rate going even keel across the system. Men like me, many men, are not doing a good job when it comes to dating women, getting married, having kids, things like that. We're not doing a good job of it. It has something to do with the culture of how women are nowadays. It has something to do with how men are nowadays. The blame goes on both sides. It's just the bottom line is, if we don't make enough kids, we don't make enough workers, we don't have enough workers, we can't pay for retirement. Okay. Harris has supported the expansion and retention of the program, aiming to reform Social Security in the present day. There's no way that any future president, including Trump, including Harris, including Commissioner Martin O'Malley, if he ever becomes president, there's no way in the current financial climate that any of you are getting a stimulus check, that they're expanding benefits in any way. That's a big, this much more per month kind of gig. None of that stuff. There's little increases that they can do through policy changes with less restrictions. Otherwise, there's no mega, here's your stimulus check, here you go. So they don't have any money. They're 35 trillion debt. Okay. The most irresponsible person in America is America. That's literally where we're at right now. You can go look at these people that are $100,000, $200,000 in credit card debt. They are more responsible than the politicians who run America. Harris will likely build off of Biden's efforts of expanding coverage, said Aaron. If elected, it is likely that she will push to expand Social Security to offer direct support for retirees and also protect the Affordable Care Act. So they can't afford it. There's no money there. And then the worst part is the Republicans keep trying to hack away at the budget of the SSA, which is down to like 50,000 something employees. The disability claims are the worst they've ever been, with taking forever to basically get somebody to actually work it on the SSA side. It's absolutely horrific, and it's only getting worse. Now, with that said, I'm not saying Commissioner Martin O'Malley isn't doing a good job. I would have much preferred Commissioner Martin O'Malley step into the presidential potential role option over, VP Harris, because he's done an amazing job with the SSA so far. He's been doing all these changes, and we're actually going to take all those achievements that he did and Commissioner Kijikazi did, and then affix them onto Biden and affix them onto basically VP Harris. Even though technically they're not their achievements, they're under the umbrella of the Democratic Party, so we will affix them to those individuals. All right, here's Harris's stance on Medicare from the article. Harris has historically taken an aggressive approach to change regarding Medicare. She aims to expand Medicare and potentially eliminate the need for private insurance. You're always going to need private insurance. If the Democrats and Republicans had just originally not allowed the insurance companies to massively fund their ability to get politicians in office so that they could keep voting in rate increase after rate increase after rate increase, then we would still have private insurance. But we don't, because the politicians that were put in office were paid for by the insurance companies putting them there. Harris has been a longstanding advocate of Medicare for all. I agree with that. I think the Democrats are 100% on the money when it comes to Medicare for all. A lot of people will say we can't afford it. And that's true. We can't afford it. But you have to then ask yourself, why? If we need Americans to make lots of taxable money so that America can borrow against them, would it not make more sense to make your farm animals healthy, right? Because that's all we are. Just chickens and goats and cows and horses. That's all we are. We're something that makes money that they tax, that they want to get more tax money out of. That's all we are. You think a farmer wants a bunch of sick farm animals? Well, look at the mega farms. Look at what they do to the chickens. Look at what they do to the bees. Next one. Over the years, Harris's camp has gone back and forth on her Medicare stance. However, she still remains one of the more outspoken Democratic politicians when it comes to promoting government-led insurance programs. What Harris's proposed plans might mean for you. If elected, Harris would not cut Social Security or Medicare. She would instead look to grow these programs. They can't grow them. They have no money to grow them. They would have to vastly take money from other categorical agencies, DOJ, DOD, in order to fund any potential growth when it comes to this. They are dead broke. They can't even afford. And this is important because nobody's talking about this on the internet. This is literally like the news that nobody even touches a little bit. They cannot afford to pay for the special bonds that they took out against all the money you paid in all those years. They can't even afford to pay those back, so they're going to have to print money to pay for the bonds that are borrowed money against your Social Security benefits. What Harris's proposed plans might mean for you. If elected, Harris would not cut Social Security. She is a strong advocate for both and is keen on expanding them. This is by Kirksena, I'm not sure. This includes protecting benefits from any cuts and expanding the reach of coverage. If she were to expand on these programs, as she has proposed, Kirksena states some changes may occur regarding tax payments and access to services. Yeah, I mean, you tax the millennials any more than you're already taxing them, you'll have a complete meltdown. They can't make enough money. They can't pay their student loans. They're not having kids. They're not having families. They're not even getting together anymore. All you see out there nowadays are groups of women hanging out at a restaurant on their special day, right? And guys who are so pissed off and angry with the whole system going out alone and sitting there alone at a restaurant. That's the new thing. That's what you got. Quote, these plans may mean an increase in government spending and taxes, likely for upper class earners. Kirksena said it may also mean lower out-of-pocket healthcare expenses and easier access to services for retirees. They can try to tax the rich. Biden's plan, which I'm sure Kamala Harris will go ahead and assimilate into her system, is that people earning over $400,000 will start paying for each dollar above $400,000 the FICA tax, 15+% with the Medicare included on the retirement and disability. Ain't never going to happen. The rich are never going to pay 15% plus more tax on their income. It ain't going to happen. It's just not going to happen. They would be wiser as rich people to fund every political seat that they want for the rest of America's time than pay an extra 15% on their income. It would be cheaper that way. It would be cheaper to get politicians they like elected than pay 15% more on their income over $400,000. If Vice President Kamala Harris wins the 2024 election, look out for the implementation of these changes in the coming years. Again, it's a fluff article. It's nobody knows. Nobody knows exactly what she wants to do. There's no real plan. There's not even look here. I'll show you the website. The website on her. Okay, that's one thing where Biden had Trump. Okay, Biden had Trump. No matter which way you look at it and which way you throw it, Biden had Trump. Okay, on a better website for the future of Social Security. Biden's pre-presidential website was so much better than Trump's. It had all these amazing ideas. Did he implement them? Not really. No. There were tiny little things that got done, but none of the big categories were even approached, right? They made it first round and then cut. Okay. But Kamala, VP Harris's, right? Stories about her life growing up. There's nothing on there about future policies about Social Security. I mean, there's basically just it's a donate your money website. That's all it is. That's literally the whole thing. That's the whole thing. Okay. Now, what we can assume is that she will be borrowing the ideas that President Biden used. Why are we assuming this? We are assuming this because her coming into nomination came out of nowhere, right? We nobody expected it. Nobody thought this was going to happen. Only people behind doors knew that this was even going on, where I'm sure, the top executives of the Biden administration were calling around to get a vote option on who's going to vote for, VP Harris to become potentially president and who will not, right? So basically, the one thing I would just say to you all, and I see a lot of things, and I appreciate them. I always appreciate seeing people say, vote blue for democracy, vote for democratic values, vote for people to be able to vote. I always stand by that. Although America does seem to have right now a flavor that feels a little bit more like the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, which is actually North Korea, or the Democratic Republic of Algeria, or the Democratic Republic of the Congo, or the Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, or the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, or the Federal Democratic Republic of Nepal, or the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka. It feels more like that right now, because what I would have expected is that they would have done mass polling and everybody would have really jumped in. What do you want to go with? Who do you want as your candidate? All that stuff. None of that shit happened. It was purely just, you know what? VP Harris, we're just shoving her in the spot. That's it. Nobody really got to vote. Nobody really got to go that way. Just poof, she was there. So whether you wanted her or not, and you're a Democrat, you got to go with her. That's basically what it's coming down to. That's the option. So what were 5 promises Biden has made about Social Security when he was still talking about basically being reelected? Okay. Let me go through these real quick. This is another article, Gabriela Olya. Let's go through this real quick. No benefit cuts. And real quick, I want to do a thank you to Diana Fernandez, who did a $5 donation. That's absolutely amazing. Absolutely incredible. That's awesome. And for the fur babies, which is amazing. And then also a $2 donation, which is very, very cool. If you guys notice me being a little bit more spicy than normal, it is because I just got back from New Jersey, where I was working hard on the farm during my so-called vacation. And so I am a little bit beat up. I'm very beat up. So let's go through the promises of what Biden promised, because these are going to likely be mirrored as the promises of what essentially Kamala Harris is going to be presenting as well. Okay. All right. No benefit cuts. I agree with that. The money isn't going to run out during this next presidency, although it might, because they got the math wrong on the fertility rates, which means the amount of people paying in to the amount of people receiving gets screwed up. So it might, but it's unlikely. It's right on that edge. But those next 4 years, no benefit cuts, they can pull that off. Extending the solvency by ensuring high-income Americans pay their fair share. Never going to happen. It's a great thing. They've been promoting it as the Democratic Party as the solution to Social Security benefits for decades now. Never going to happen. Improving benefits for seniors and people with disabilities. That they are doing. They are doing that quite well. In fact, the next thing we're going to be going over are the regulatory actions that were done by the commissioners of the SSA for the American people under the Democratic Party. I think that they were very pro-claimant, which is what and remember, a lot of you are like, what about me? What about me? I get it, but you have to look at it in two categories: pro-SSA stuff versus pro-claimant stuff. Pro-SSA government stuff versus pro-recipient stuff. You want pro-recipient rules and laws put in. Diane Fernandez, thank you for the additional $1.99 donation. Very, very cool. Love it. Let's see the little icons there. It's awesome. Very awesome. So the thing that you have to keep in mind with this whole situation is that there are a lot of things that the commissioners, especially Commissioner Martin O'Malley right now, are doing that are amazingly awesome, that really promote and bolster the Democratic Party, which we'll go through shortly. These Democrat-based commissioners tend to be pro-claimant, pro-recipient, whereas the Republican commissioners tend to be pro-SSA. You know, one of the big things I saw during Commissioner Saul's, tenure while President Trump was in, was that regulations in the actual policy books of the SSA that were pro-claimant were getting either completely pulled out or getting modified to be against the claimant. So if there was like some advantage that the claimant would have with the situation, those were just getting pulled left and right during that situation. Next one. More investment in the Social Security Administration. That is the number one thing the Democrats are whooping the Republicans on right now. And I mean whooping them. The Republicans are on this weird, fanatical, thing that they think cutting off funding to the Social Security Administration in a meaningful way when it comes to their actual administering of the benefits, like constantly giving them less, giving them less, giving them less. Their problem when it comes to administering benefits isn't that there's all this fraud that they can't fix. They're arresting people left and right. OIG is catching people left and right committing fraud. Their problem is they don't have enough money to hire enough people to process these claims because the inflation is so bad that they can't even afford the people they already have. And the people they already have are looking at their options. Option one, golden handcuffs. You stay in the government job so that one day, decades down the line, you can have good benefits. Well, unfortunately, the really crappy pay that the government gives right now is so bad that people are saying, nope, throwing the golden handcuffs away, going to get a job anywhere, somewhere, anywhere else that pays more. That's the problem with the SSA. They were in crisis mode at 55,000 employees. They now have even less than 55,000 employees. So just to understand the spectrum of the problem, when you try to cut off their ability to have administrative money to administer these benefits, all you are doing is effing over the disabled, the retired, the spousals, the divorcees, the survivors, the disabled adult children, the SSI recipient. You're just screwing them over because they don't have enough people to process the claims. The whole thing gets slowed down, and we get stuck with this 1 million-person backlog that's just taking forever to get rid of because they don't have enough staff. That is the major thing that the Democrats do that is the most supportive for Social Security benefits over the Republicans. And if you go look at the actual congressional videos where the Republicans are beating up the Social Security executives, I sit there in amazement. You would think the party line of the Republicans would be work hard, party hard later, right? That's the idea. Work hard and reap the benefits of your hard work. Like that, you have two existences. The Democrats are like, be happy. The Republicans are like, screw happiness, work hard, achieve more, be better, have more, feel the goodness down the line. So it is kind of weird when the Republicans are coming forward with an agenda of, okay, let's try and cut the budget of the SSA. Why? Why would you do that? They're in crisis mode. They don't have enough to even pay for the employees they have. They're not paying the attorneys on time who represent these people. It's absolute insanity right now. I want to thank real quick. There's Daryl May did a $20 donation, which is absolutely amazing. Super duper thank you. It's very, very cool. And Leanne, oh my goodness. Leanne Puppy Treats, will do. Did a $20 donation. Just so you guys know, Leanne has been with the channel before there was like even 200 subscribers. She goes back to the channel like to the origin story, before Wolverine, before any of these Deadpool individuals, before Mario Kart, before Disney existed. In the beginning, where there were just games like Pong. That's how far back she goes with this channel, which I always appreciate because I always love seeing her there, which is absolutely amazing. So thank you. That is very, very cool. So let's go through the next thing right here. No increase in the retirement age. Okay, so Republicans keep pushing this agenda to raise the retirement age to potentially 69 or 70 instead of it being essentially, 67 up to, 69, 70-ish in that area. Here's my thing, okay? There's no reason we should not get pointy sticks that are lit on fire and start demanding things from the government when it comes to Social Security benefits. None of you screwed up when paying your money in for those benefits. None of y'all effed up. It is purely the actuaries and those executives of the federal government who borrowed too much from the program, couldn't afford to pay it back, and had to print more money. Those are the people who screwed up. It wasn't you. You paid your taxes. There should be no talk that you didn't do your part of it. That's why when I did that video of RFK and explained, he hit it right on the bat. He said people need to basically have an actual privatized right to their benefits. So if the government tries to change them, they can sue them. But yet amazingly, the algorithm killed that video before it even got released. Amazing. So here's the basic thing. Democrats say no retirement age. Republicans say no retirement age. They're all just kicking the ball down the road. None of them are heroes. All right, let's go through this real quick. These are the regulatory actions, and I have it straight from the SSA website right here because these are the changes that we saw that are the major ones. I'm going to go through them real quick. That way you have a basic understanding of what actually happened during Biden's era so that we can discuss essentially what is the true direction of where this thing is going. All right? That's the best way to do it. Okay. Here we go. First one, final rule. It's April 21st, 2021. Rescission of rules of improved agency guidance documents. That was where they were doing a swap out and they had to pull them. Not a big deal. Not something we need to go into detail about. Let's go to the next one. I mean, we could, but there's better ones in here. Next one. Temporary final rule. Flexibility in evaluating close proximity of time due to COVID-19 related barriers to healthcare, July 23rd, 2021. Summary. Since the outset of the COVID-19 national public health emergency, many individuals have experienced barriers that prevent them from timely accessing healthcare. In response to those barriers, we're issuing this rule to temporarily revise the requirements in the listing of impairments, listings that for purposes of applying several of our musculoskeletal disorders, all relevant medical criteria be present simultaneously or within a close proximity of time, which we define as within a consecutive 4-month period. While this rule is in effect, we will find that the evidence of musculoskeletal disorder is present within a close proximity of time if the available evidence establishes such a condition with a consecutive 12-month period. We expect that this temporary change to our rules will allow us to make findings of disability in appropriate cases in which individuals have experienced barriers to access to healthcare because of COVID-19 national public health emergency. This is a great example of the Democrats doing a good job. What they did was they realized that people could not meet the regulatory requirements of disability listings under the musculoskeletal 1.0 listings. They realized that. They said, you know what, there's a numbers problem here because people can't get to the hospital. People can't get to the emergency room, emergency clinic, their doctor in general because of COVID. So they changed the rules to make it so that these individuals would still be found disabled even if they didn't have recent medical treatment. And that is called good executive leadership. That is important. All right, next rule we're going to hit. Notice of proposed rulemaking, rules regarding the frequency, and notice of continuing disability reviews. Withdrawal, summary, we are withdrawing. This was on July 28th. We are withdrawing the notice of proposed rulemaking, rules regarding the frequency, and notice of continuing disability reviews published in the Federal Register on November 18, 2019. This was a rule that gave basically Trump's team more options to do CDRs more often. They pulled it. They said, we're not doing it. People go through enough for the benefits in the first place. We're just going to keep it as it is right now. Now, in practical application, would that rule have really changed much? No, but it sounds good. And politicians, especially on the Democratic side, are good at that. Next one, final rule, extension of expiration date for neurological disorders, body system listings. August 2nd, 2021. Summary. We are extending the expiration date of the body system, neurological disorders, and the listing of impairments in our regulations. We are making no other revisions to this body system in this final rule. This extension ensures that we will continue to have the criteria we need to evaluate neurological impairments at step 3 of the sequential evaluation process for initial claims and continuing disability reviews. So bottom line is they're just kind of keeping up with things. Things got a little messed up as a result of COVID. But, otherwise they were just kind of making the listing work better for that timeline situation. Okay, let's go to the next one. That one's not too exciting or whatever. So hold on, let me see if this goes over. Okay, final rule. Oh, wait, hold on. This thing prints it out a little weird. Okay, we go here. Yeah, okay. Final rule. Removing the waiting period for entitlement to Social Security disability insurance benefits for individuals with amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. Okay. Summary. In accordance with the ALS Disability Insurance Act of 2019 and amended, this final rule eliminates the 5-month waiting period for the Social Security Disability Insurance Program for individuals with amyotrophic lateral sclerosis who were approved for SSDI benefits on or after July 23rd, 2020. So what this one did, this was another win for the Democrats. What this one did was it went ahead and said, look, these people are so severe. They've got so many problems. It is unethical. It is immoral to go ahead and make them wait this extra 5 months to receive any back pay or just receive their benefits in general. So they wiped out the SSDI 5-month rule. You still have the month in which they're found disabled. That doesn't count, right? But bottom line is the 5 months, their first 5 months, they pulled that rule and said, no, for these individuals, they're so bad. We're pulling that rule and not applying it to them. Next one, November 17th, 2021. Final rule. Extension of expiration date for 3 body system listings. Summary. We are extending the expiration dates on the following body systems and the listing and impairments listings in our regulations. Respiratory disorders, genitourinary disorders, and mental disorders. We're making no other revisions to these body systems in this final rule. The extension ensures that we will continue to have the criteria we need to evaluate impairments in the affected body systems at step 3 of the sequential evaluation process for initial claims and continuing disability reviews. So basically, those rules make it so that they have to review, modify, change the listings every so often, right? And sometimes they just don't have changes. They don't want to modify them. They don't have anything to alter them with. So they just extend out the period, right, that those rules can stay in existence. Next one. Advance notice, okay? November 23rd, 2021. A proposed rulemaking addressing certain types of fraud affecting Medicare income-related monthly adjustment amounts, IRMAA, November 3rd, 23rd, 2021. Summary. Certain Medicare beneficiaries may have their taxable income affected by fraudulent activity, which in turn could affect the amount of and their ability to afford their Medicare Part B medical insurance and Medicare Part D prescription drug coverage premiums. We are seeking the information from the public on the type of information we should consider relating to evidence of life-changing events resulting from criminal fraud or theft. Information from the public will help us determine whether and how we should revise our rules to provide relief to beneficiaries affected by fraud. Another win for the Democrats. The Democrats did a good job on this one. This was a rule that basically said, okay, look, if you get frauded, something happens to you, you sign up for the wrong thing, you're going in the wrong direction, we will review it to see if it falls within our LCE, life-changing events, to see if we can somehow help you out, get you back on the proper programs, or not charge you extra with being penalized, et cetera, or just help you out for so many months to get you back on the horse. That was a win for the Democrats. Next one. Final rule. Extension of expiration date for 4-body system listings. You guys know how this works. We've already covered one of them. This was December 13th, 2021. Bottom line, they were saying they don't want to change these much. They're just going to leave them as they are. And that way they can continue adjudicating those claims. All right, next one. Let's go over here. Perfect. Temporary final rule. Flexibility in evaluating close proximity of time due to COVID-19 related barriers to healthcare. Summary. Since the outset of COVID-19, national public health emergency. Wait a minute. Did we already do this one? Hold on. Let me see real quick. Yep. We got to go the other way. Hold on. We got to go the other way. Yep. There we go. Okay. Here we go. Final rule. Anti-fraud system. April 28th, 2022. Summary. We previously published a notice of a modified system of records entitled Anti-Fraud System. Because the system contains some investigatory material compiled for law enforcement purposes, this rule exempts those records within this system of record from specific provisions of the Privacy Act. In other words, what they're saying is the tools and tricks of the trade of those individuals that are known as sheriffs, police, federal agents, U.S. Marshals, those individuals that investigate you or other people committing fraud against the SSA through Medicare fraud, retirement fraud, disability fraud, supplemental security income fraud, right? Some of those techniques, those rules, or how they're doing it, were pulled to protect essentially their system. Final rule. Extension of expiration date for 3-body systems. You know how that works. They're just keeping them rolling. Final rule. Reducing burden on families acting as a representative payee of Social Security payments, June 13th, 2022. Summary. Section 102 of the Strengthening Protections of Social Security Beneficiaries Act of 2018 reduced the burden on families by exempting certain representative payees from our annual accounting requirements. We are revising our regulations to incorporate the statutory exemptions for certain representative payees from our annual accounting. All right, so this is a win because the bottom line is most people have absolutely no idea as a payee on behalf of a disabled person, how to actually go ahead and do the accounting for that person. And to be fair, who the hell's going to review it, right? Think about it. You let me know in the comments, who actually cares what they're spending that disability money on? I mean, sure, if it's being spent on illegal this, illegal that, not properly on food, etc., sure. But when it's in general going in a general right direction, why are we paying all this money for people to review that? So that was the thing. They said, you know what? We don't want to have to pay people to figure out if you're spending this money correctly as a payee. If it looks okay in general, we'll go with it. And they move forward. Okay. Next one, which was good because they still have OIG looking people up, going through stuff, but it's not on a massive general scale of everybody having to submit this as an annual report. It's not something that, you know what I mean? They didn't need it. Next rule, notice proposed rulemaking, June 29, 2022. Revised medical criteria for evaluating cardiovascular disorders. Summary, we propose to revise some of the criteria in the listing of impairments that we use to evaluate claims involving cardiovascular disorders in adults and children under Title II, SSDI, and Title 16, SSI, and the Social Security Act. The proposed revisions reflect advances in medical knowledge, our adjudicative experience, and comments we received from experts in the public in response to an advance notice of proposed rulemaking and an outreach policy conference. They were changing the rules for cardiovascular-based disorders in their listings and their analysis of how they actually go forward and figure out whether or not you are disabled. That happens from time to time. Not the end of the world. Cool. All right. Final rule in 2022. Let's see what we got here. Or I guess not. This is July 18th, 2022. Final rule, extension of expiration date for the 3-body systems. We don't care about that. We already know what's happening with that. That's no biggie. All right, so let's go up to 2023 now, okay? Final rule, service of process and updated addresses for certain communications with the agency, January 10th, 2023. Summary, we are revising our rules regarding service of legal process and lawsuits involving judicial review of final decisions of the Commissioner of the Social Security on individuals' claims for benefits under Title II, Title 8, and Title 16 of the Social Security Act, or individual claims for a Medicare Part D subsidy under the Title 16 of the Act. We are revising our rules to provide that when summonses and complaints in these lawsuits are mailed, they should be sent to a central address regardless of where the lawsuit is filed. We will also accept electronic service in these suits in accordance with the new supplemental rules for Social Security actions added to the federal rules of civil procedure effective December 1st, 2022. Additionally, we are updating our headquarters address, removing obsolete references and past jurisdictional responsibilities of regional offices, the General Counsel OGC offices, which no longer exist, and making other minor editorial changes. We expect that these changes will make the service of process for affected cases more streamlined and consistent with the FRCP. Here's what happened. They grew, they got really big. Some offices died off. They weren't using them anymore. And then they just streamlined everything to go through one particular office when it goes to actually, filing the legal processes to make everybody aware that a suit was going on. Because, a lot of you guys don't know when you file a suit, just so you're aware, you have to notice all parties. And then you have to submit to the court essentially proof that you've noticed all parties. Okay. Old school truck driver. Thank you for the $10 donation. That's awesome. Those reports for reps to fill out were ridiculous. Yeah, they were. They were so ridiculous. I don't know if you guys have ever had a payee or you had a payee that basically worked with you, but those were just absolutely insane. They were just ridiculous. And it didn't make sense because a lot of people were just winging it, And at the end of the day, the accounting, it didn't matter. They were paying a lot of people to review the accounting of all these, payees of these disabled people. It was not an effective way of spending money. It just wasn't. Okay, let's go on to the next one real quick. Here we go. Okie doke. I'm going to scroll over here real quick. Actually, here, let me just pull that off real quick. Make it easier on me. All right, here we go. Here's the next rule. All right. Notice of proposed rulemaking omitting food from in-kind support maintenance calculations, February 15th, 2023. This was major. When the Democrats did this, it kind of blew my mind. Now, I knew that they had to do something like this because the SSI people, so many of them had what's called in-kind support and maintenance rule applied to them, which is where they got, 1/3 of their benefits taken away because somebody was giving them housing or somebody was giving them food. So the Democrats had a problem because the Democrats, handling the economy was not so great, right? It wasn't very good in the sense of supporting the petrodollar, making sure that, basically our US dollars were not getting diminished through just poor decisions when it comes to oil and timber and things like that. And that's another thing too, just so you guys know, a lot of people, and it's okay, a lot of people don't know this, but our economy is very largely based on just, a handful of particular items in their raw material form. And if you grew up in a city or you grew up in a HOA community or the suburbs, you're not going to know a damn thing about any of it. And that's okay. That's totally okay. You're not an Aggie. You don't know agricultural stuff. You don't know how it works. That's totally fine. Just go learn about it. Because I get a lot of comments where people are like, well, you don't understand how economy is going to work, blah, blah, blah. I'm sitting there thinking how could this person, and here's the best part. The people who have literally zero idea of how the system works are the most outspoken, extreme screamers. They'll call up the law firm and scream into one of the employees' ears or the voicemail about how this is how it is and this is the way it works and da da da. I've never seen so many individuals, and granted, a lot of them have mental impairments. A lot of them have, just personality disorders. They don't know who they are when they are, so I get that. But I've never seen so many people who are delusional about where they stand on how actual economy works. It is weird. It is weird. I had one person call me up one time and I got sucked into the conversation. He was arguing with me about tractors, right? And lithium batteries and how lithium batteries have to be used in tractors going forward. They can't make lithium batteries that would work with tractors at that level. The machines are massive. You would need tons and tons of storage batteries on them. It's just and that's what's so frustrating. Until we have a breakthrough and get away from lithium batteries, or we have thermospatal fusion, or we have some sort of whatever new energy technology. Until we get to that point, there's just no way. You can't build Tesla tech into a tractor that's used for farming purposes, where they are riding up and down really difficult trails, up and down hills, on fields dragging heavy implements that are literally dragging and pulling the ground with them. It doesn't exist. You can put 8 motors on it. It's still not going to work. Anyways, I got sucked into that conversation. I promised myself after that one, never again. I just thanked them and hang up at that point, because just there's no way to convince them how technology or the economy works. They just don't get it. They don't get it. And I feel bad, because look, America, they definitely reduced the scoring systems, right, for their examinations and tests over the decades. And you would think with all this amazing technology, people would be a lot more in tune with how things actually work, but they are farther and farther away from where they originally were. I had somebody tell me the other day that they graduated from Harvard, and the first thing that came out of my mouth, and I should have been more polite. But I said to them, that makes me fear the statistics that you rely on. That's what I said to them. We didn't even get into the conversation yet, but that's because the way it works, I don't know if you guys know this, the way statistics are created is by nonprofits. Nonprofits are paid for by industry people and special interests that basically have money to funnel into projects. Those projects then render statistics through statistical analysis of some projected theory, right? We have a theory. The first issue is whether this is right? And then they go and answer that. And then they write up this report. So when you see statistics, they're not coming from a neutral place, because that neutral place gets its food, its sugar, its honey, its biscuits from people with money. And then once you're sitting there relying on those statistics, then we end up in these really weird places where none of that shit makes sense, right? That we end up in this, like, the modern collegiate existence, right? Where it's like, everything's statistics. And I sit back, I'm just like, how the hell we would fix a lot of this if people just spent 3-4 years on a farm. I'm not saying they have to deal with the chickens. I'm not saying they have to ride horses, but put them on a tractor, make them pull in the fields, right? Make them hitch up, make them tongue up those trailers, get it done, get it right. You know what I mean? We don't do that. Instead, and that's the amazing thing. There's a new trend going on, which is absolute insanity, where there are groups of women saying men should have to go into the military for so many years to toughen them up, or live homeless for so many years to toughen them up, or do this or that for so many years to toughen them up. Just put men on a farm. Just put them on a farm. If you put them on a farm, they're going to learn how to build sheds. They're going to learn how to go ahead and run tractors. They're going to learn how to pull parts. They're going to learn how to hitch trailers. They're going to learn how to use implements. They're going to learn how to do all this stuff. I have friends that are men who don't know how to use a ratchet strap. Can you imagine the insanity it would take for a nation to get to the point where everybody's living in a bubble existence where they don't have an actual understanding of how basic things come together, where they don't even know how to use a ratchet strap? That doesn't make sense to me. It's the thing that you use to hold shit to shit. That's an important thing to know. But again, it's America. Yeehaw. All right, so here we go. Next one. So the Democrats rocked that one. They did an amazing job omitting food from in-kind support and maintenance. Now, they kind of had to do that, though, because the economy was so crappy that people on SSI benefits that were losing a third of it could not survive. So they were stuck in a spot, but they made lemonade. It was a pro-claimant thing to do, and the Democrats did, and they did a good job. You got to give them props. You got to give them points when they're doing a good job, okay? Notice of proposed rulemaking. Here's we go. May 19th, 2023. Rulemaking. Setting the manner of appearance with parties and witnesses at hearings. Summary. We propose to update our hearing regulations by changing the terms video teleconference to video, changing telephone to audio, and permitting video and audio to be used as standard manners of appearance. These changes would clarify that claimants may appear for hearings remotely using private electronic devices that we do not own, operate, or approve. The proposed changes would also make clear that a claimant may appear for a hearing using approved online video conferencing applications rather than conferencing options using equipment that we own or approve. Additionally, while our current regulations permit us to schedule claimants to appear by telephone in limited circumstances only, we propose to schedule claimants to appear by audio without similar restrictions. If The claimant does not object to appearing in that manner. We expect that these changes would provide us and claimants with additional flexibility, which would allow us to manage our hearing process more efficiently. Here's the deal. They had a lot of hearings that they had to get through. They shut down because of COVID. Phone hearings are now the standard. They weren't back then. Phone hearings are now the standard. Okay, here's why. The judges like it because the judges, right, don't have to be in a formal setting. They can be at their computer and they can process them more quickly and more efficiently, right? Judges like them because of that. Number two, attorneys like them because attorneys would normally have to go to the hearing office, sit there for an hour, wait for the judge to become available, and then walk with their client into the room. Attorneys doing disability law, due to this environment, the inflation, all of it, we don't make enough to lose hours in a hearing office. We have to process through claim after hearing to make enough to pay the staff. That's where it is now. That's how bad it is. That's literally the process now. I don't think there will be a future of little disability firms. I really don't. I think the only future we're going to be seeing when it comes to disability law are mega, massive law firms, big boxers, doing it as a favor for those who are injured veterans or those who are injured in a private, or rather in a personal injury lawsuit. Anything from slip and falls, car accident, motorcycle accident, somebody injures you, whatever. Okay, a machine injures you at work, right? Workers' comp. There will be an attachment for representation for that. But I don't think there will be small firms in disability law in the future. I just don't think that that's going to happen. I don't think there's a world for that. The attorneys just make too little per claimant. Ajax Slam Goody, very cool. Thank you for the $20 donation. That's absolutely amazing. Let me read it real quick. I'm a former soldier. I've been disabled for, hold on, the computer's 9 years and had to quit my therapist job / degree. But if Kamala wins, we won't have a country left. She is a communist. Our enemies know she will be our destruction. Woke, blue heart, you. Very cool. Well, so I can't say those things from me because I have to keep things neutral, because I have to keep it neutral. I have to give props where props are due to different parties. I have to point out, but if we're honest about this, right, if we're honest about where I look at this, I don't really know VP Harris. Nobody does. Nobody has any real clue what she's about. In fact, you got all these people who are like hearting and like doing all these like things on like TikTok and this and that. I'm just sitting there. I'm just like, do you guys even know who you're in a relationship with? Like people know who Trump is. You can't not know who that guy is because he's just everywhere. The news media. And here's another thing. Here's the thing where I'm worried about the Democratic Party because they made a misstep. The Democratic Party is now working on a message of unity, a message away from Trump is evil, a message away from Trump destroys everything, Trump is anti-democracy. They're now moving towards unity. This is a mistake. This is a mistake for the Democratic Party. They need to keep their current model of Trump is everything that everybody should not want, because it is the only thing that sells at the most emotional, deep level that a lot of Democrats would choose basically anybody other than Trump. You see these videos where they're interviewing people. Okay, why do you not like Trump? Because he's a bigot, or he's a this, or he's a that, or he's a sexist, or he's a this or that, or blah, 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 right? What do you like about Biden? I think he's a nice guy. I think he's okay. I think he's a pretty cool guy. I think he's all right. They have no clue. They need to stick with the model that gets people to hate Trump and just pick anybody other than Trump, because nobody knows who VP Harris actually is. We just don't know. Even if you look at her history, it's not filled with like these groundbreaking inventions to the future of society. It's just like, it's the most like placid version of a political career in existence that has ever gone through. I mean, sure, there was the relationship stuff, and yeah, we all know that. But, bottom line is, and it's ironic because when women do that stuff, right, it's accepted. It's just part of how it works, right? But then when guys do that stuff, jail time. Jail time. Jail time. All right, here we go. Next one. Notice of proposed rulemaking, availability of information and records to the public, June 6, 2023. Summary, the Social Security Administration is proposing revisions to our existing Freedom of Information Act FOIA regulations to conform with the requirements of the FOIA Improvement Act of 2016. The FOIA Improvement Act of 2016 requires federal agencies to issue regulations on procedures for disclosure of records consistent with the amendments to the FOIA by such act. We are also proposing the reorganization of our FOIA regulation to make our FOIA procedures easier for the public to understand and use. The SSA, if you want me to rank them, is in the very lower ends of responding to FOIA requests. I've submitted FOIA requests, and I still have FOIA requests out there that have never been responded to. Let me just simplify for you. They don't have enough employees to do the work that they have. Piling on top of the many requests on top of that are just right now unlikely to actually receive a response. So if you're submitting FOIA requests to them, getting a response, unlikely. I'm not saying that because I'm trying to be mean. I'm just saying it because it is the reality of the world that we live in. Let's head over to the next one real quick over here. All right. This is for June 8th, 2023. Revised medical criteria for evaluating digestive disorders and skin disorders. We're revising the criteria that we use to evaluate claims involving basically these impairments. The revisions that they put. All right, so I'm not going to go through the revisions. Maybe I should. Do you guys want to see me do a video on how they've changed the listings? Musculoskeletal, digestive, respiratory, cardiovascular. Do you want to see me do a video giving you the history of how the SSA has changed the rules for the listings? I feel like that would be a really cool video. I don't know. I mean, it wouldn't be that hard to make because you just pull the listing criteria for the different, years. And then you read basically what it was, what it became, and explain the difference. So I think that would be a cool video. Let me know if you think that'd be a cool video to explain how they've changed the listing rules. It's going to piss you off because you're going to be like, oh, wow, this is something I could have been found disabled on, and now no. But I think it'd be a good video. All right, so all right, let's keep rocking through this real quick. All right, notice of proposed rulemaking changes to the administrative rules for claimant representation and provisions for direct payment for entities. Summary, we propose to revise our regulations to enable us to directly pay entities fees we may authorize to their employees as required by the decision of the United States Court of Appeals for the First Circuit and Marasco v. Nestle-Bush, LLP v. Collins, to make direct payments, issue the necessary tax documents, and properly administer these rules. We propose to require all entities. All right, bottom line is they were just making it administratively easier for them to actually do payments to, reps, payments to individuals interacting with the SSA. Not fancy stuff, nothing exciting there. Notice of proposed rulemaking, August 24th, 2023. We're coming to the end of 2023. Expansion of the rental subsidy policy for supplemental security income, SSI applicants, and recipients. All right, here we go. Summary, we propose to revise our regulations by applying nationwide the in-kind support maintenance rental subsidy exception that is currently in place for SSI applicants and recipients residing in 7 states. The exception recognizes that a business arrangement exists when the amount of required monthly rent for a property equals or exceeds the presumed maximum value. Here's what happened. Really simple one. This was and this is a smart one. The Democrats had a huge win on this one. They looked at the ridiculous economy situation. SSI people couldn't afford the increases in rent, right? SSI people were in dire straits. They just couldn't afford to live in America anymore. So they said, okay, we're going to try and find ways to reduce the ways that we reduce their SSI benefits, the ways that we take away a third of their benefits. And they said, okay, how can we do that? So they made it so that if you were paying just enough, just this much, towards rent, then they would not take away at all any of your SSI benefits. And basically the whole idea was that they recognized that people needed to get their full, SSIs and $943 per month. Otherwise, they were going to starve. Those were the options. Figure out a way to reduce the restrictions on SSI people or get starving people. So they fixed it. All right, let's hit the next one real quick. All right, the next one. Let's pop over here real quick. Good. All right, here we go. Temporary final rule with request for comments, extension of the flexibility in evaluating close proximity of time to evaluate changes in healthcare following the COVID-19 public health emergency. Summary. On July 23rd, 2021, we issued a temporary final rule with request for comments to lengthen the closed period of time, the close proximity of time, standard in the listings of impairments for musculoskeletal disorders. Remember how we talked originally about how like the 4 months versus the 12 months, you didn't have to meet the tougher requirement, which was the 4 months. They're going to expand it to 12 months because people couldn't see their doctors. Okay. So then they did an analysis of this and they found, where is it? Let me go back to 4. Here we go. All right. The prior TFR is effective until 6 months after the effective date of a determination by the Secretary of Health and Human Services that a PHE resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic no longer exists. The Secretary of HHS made that determination and the COVID-19 national PHE ended on May 11, 2023. However, the healthcare practices in a post-PHE world are still evolving. We are therefore issuing this new TFR to extend the flexibility provided by the prior TFR until May 11, 2025. So we can evaluate changes in healthcare practices and determine the proper close proximity of time standard for musculoskeletal disorder listings going forward. Again, a good thing that the Democrats did here. Democrats recognized that the listing didn't work because people couldn't see their doctors. Then they recognized, well, shit, we got a problem. Problem is people can't see their doctor. If they can't see their doctor, they're not going to go ahead and be able to meet this listing when they normally would be able to meet the listing. So they said, okay, look, even though COVID's over, we don't know if it's still affecting people. And let's be honest, right? Disabled people, especially those that hate to go see the doctor, you know, they use COVID as an excuse to not go see a doctor. Oh, I don't want to go. I got COVID. I don't know, COVID, right? That's what they do. Now, the other side of the coin is the judges are fed up with that. The judges know that if you don't go see a doctor, then you had the choice with intent, made the choice, followed through on the choice, and in that choice made the statement that 1, you're not severe enough because you had it as an option, and 2, you're able to control the outcome of your choices. Now, there will be somebody in the comments who says, no, in my special, unique, one-off situation, I couldn't go because of this. We're not talking about that, okay? When you guys always do that to me. You're like, in this one microscopic 0.0001%, I got it. All right, here we go. Next one. Okay. Let me see if we've already done this one. We did that one. I think we're over here. Let's see what we got here. Notice of proposed rulemaking changes. Direct payments. You got that. Policy for someone. Okay, so no, okay. We already did that. All right, so now we go over to here, over to 2. Right. So here we go. Okay. Notice of proposed rulemaking. Use of electronic payroll data to improve program administration. Now this one helps the SSA catch when people earn too much and cut off their benefits immediately. Okay. So in that instance, okay. But also this notice of proposed rulemaking proposed on February 15th, 2024 is going to open up the floodgates for SSI people to likely be used as testers for a digital dollar. I'll read it to you. Section 824 of the Bipartisan Budget Act of 2015, BBA, authorizes the Commissioner of the Social Security to enter into information exchanges with payroll data providers to obtain wage and employment information. We use wage and employment information to administer basically all the SSA programs. Okay. All right. We are proposing these rules pursuant to Section 824 of the BBA, which requires us to prescribe by regulation procedures for implementing the access to and use of the information held by payroll data providers. We expect these proposed rules will support proper use of information exchanges with payroll data providers that will help us administer our programs more efficiently and prevent improper payments under the different titles of the SSA. So what they're saying is, if you go ahead, right? If you go ahead and work and earn too much, instead of them, catching it 3 months down the line, they're gonna catch you in the month that it happens, right? They're gonna nick you your benefits. They're gonna nick them, pull them, right? Take them back, right in that month in which it's occurring. Okay, but this is a setup for the digital dollar stuff, right? When they have direct access to payroll information, just gives them one more step closer to that digital dollar. All right, final rule, March 27, 2024. We're catching up. We're coming down to the final rules. Omitting food from in-kind support and maintenance calculations. Here we go. We are updating our supplemental security income regulations to remove food from the calculations of in-kind support and maintenance. We are also adding conforming language to our definition of income. These changes simplify our rules by making them less cumbersome to administer and easier for the public to understand and follow, and they improve the equitable treatment of food assistance within the SSI program. The final rule also includes other minor revisions to our regulations related to income, including clarifying our longstanding position that income may be received constructively. They also kind of began to change the definition of family, like how they define family or recipients of essentially SSI benefits when other recipients in the household have these benefits. Bottom line is this: I don't think it's ever been ethical to state that an SSI person should lose SSI benefits or a portion of them as a result of somebody giving them food. To me, that's some shit. That's some shitty stuff right there. They still have, right, that provision about rent, somebody helping them out with rent. But now everybody knows, because of that video I did, that you just have to, put down that you paid that person and actually pay that person, basically a third or that amount of rent and like $1 over. And then boom, you get your full benefits. So long as you meet that $1 over, boom, you're good to go. So they had to find ways to make sure the SSI people had enough money going forward. Okay. Now we're coming down to the final rules that have been done. April 11th, 2024. Final rule: expansion of the rental subsidy policy for supplemental security income, SSI applicants and recipients. Summary: we are finalizing our proposed regulation to apply nationwide the in-kind support maintenance rental subsidy exception. So that was the thing where you just pay this much in rent and then you're going to get your full SSI benefits. Final rule now, April 18th, 2024. Intermediate improvement to the disability adjudication process, including how we consider past work. That's when they changed past work from 15 years to 5 years. That's going to make it more likely that SSI people and immigrants, entrants, asylum seekers, refugees are more likely to receive essentially SSI benefits going forward. Okay. Here's the last one that they did. Final rule: expand the definition of public assistance household, April 19th, 2024. Summary: we are finalizing our proposed rule to expand the definition of public assistance household for our proposed programs. The bottom line is this: they made it more beneficial, and they made it easier for people to receive more benefits and keep more benefits based on how they define how many people are receiving benefits in the household and what would equate to a low income household sort of situation. So that's what that rule really comes down to. Now, what can we learn from all of these rule changes that have occurred during President Biden's presidency and apply it to Vice President Harris and her potential of becoming President Harris? We can apply that the Democrats tend to be, there's a tendency, more pro-claimant, more pro fixing things that would help the claimants be more successful in their retention of benefits, application of benefits, etc. We can apply the knowledge that there is a preference from the Democrats to be viewed as positive helpers of the SSA. But with that said, the main problem, of course, with the Democratic side is that they are total and complete crap when it comes to the economy and understanding how capitalism is supposed to work in America. Because capitalism has failed in America, right? It's not small and medium companies competing. It's just mega companies buying up smaller companies that have great ideas. That's all America is anymore. It's crap, economics. It's just not what it's supposed to be. It's not capitalism as it should be. So if anybody argues with you and says we have capitalism in this country, no, we don't. What we have are mega businesses that own lots and lots of other businesses. And their job is to suck as much money out of those other businesses to feed a central entity known as the super wealthy. And the whole point of that is that when they own all these little businesses, they're trying to take over as much of any potential industry that makes enough money as comparison point against the return on investment. So what happens is you have new innovative companies coming out. Those new innovative companies that come out, they go ahead and get bought up by the big companies, and the big companies then use that to continue to grow and have a complete monopoly on the marketplace. We have a monopolistic economy. We have a failed capitalism. That's how it works, okay? All right, so with that said, what are my thoughts? when it comes to VP Harris potentially supporting Social Security benefits. I have a major concern. My major concern is that people are showing their true anger and excitement when it comes to this whole DEI thing. And what's happening is that we're seeing a surge in basically, and some people argue DEI is just supposed to be a thing where we get more cultures to come together. Yes, but it's practical application in America, right? Not other places, but in America, it just means taking white males and white females and replacing their positions with other individuals that come from minority cultures. My main concern is that VP Harris would remove Commissioner Martin O'Malley because he could be a competitor to the presidential option. He could be a competitor to making things look too good for him, and that would take away the spotlight from her. My main concern is that she would apply DEI principles to remove Commissioner Martin O'Malley because he does not fit into a minority status. That is my main concern. Now, here's why I have a main concern with that. That guy wants to be president. That guy has the potential, and now we've seen capacity to be president of the United States. VP Harris, we don't know. We don't know. You can say, of course she does. We don't know. She was the vice president. Have you reviewed her record? Go review her record. You may be surprised. If you're not surprised, then there's a problem. Commissioner Martin O'Malley is one of the best things that's ever happened to the Social Security Administration. And it's only happening because he has this fire in him to become president of the United States. And that is his ticket to achieve it. I've never seen in the history of the existence of America somebody in such a well-placed chess piece position to become president through an agency that normally people think is total BS when it comes to picking the next president. Right? When it comes to picking presidents, nobody talks about the Social Security Administration and who's been commissioner. Nobody even brings it up in the paragraph above it or below it. So the point is, that is my major concern there. You won't be seeing me obviously get a government job because I can't get promoted. I can't, make it up in the ranks because of what I was born as. And you got to remember, this is actually the body, the DNA, the skin of a genetic person who has been an asylum seeker over and over and over and over again. We started in Scotland, didn't work out. We went to Germany, didn't work out. We went to Austria and Ukraine, didn't work out because we got sucked back into Germany. Then, because obviously, I don't know if you guys know my background, my family members were in the math and science communities. Then we ended up in the US. We worked on projects like the Manhattan Project. We worked on math. Like literally, one of my family members on my mom's side invented the major portion of the math that has to do with autopilot for airplanes. So, the bottom line is you've lived in this country through your genetics very likely longer than I have. But yet, because I'm this color, people are going to be against me for a position, even though I haven't been here that long. I'm Walter Hnot III. There's a Walter Hnot Jr., that's dad. So Walter Hnot Sr., that's grandpa. And then there's great-grandpa. And that's when we got here. That's literally when we got here. And then the other side got here even later. Although it just made more sense to explain it to you through the Walters that occurred. Point is, I think America has a fetish when it comes to race and skin color. And the problem with this is that America is very okay with punishing people who have had nothing to do with the history of anything that is not, a polite thing to talk about in America. And that's the sad thing about it. It's just, I don't know how to fix it. But I know this. I know a lot of my buddies who had like government jobs, they got out of it. And they went to whatever industry would make them the most money. And then ironically, they are now starting to leave the country to go date other women that are outside of the country, which to me is wild. Imagine that. Imagine moving to another country. And I mean, it shouldn't be wild because I talk with vets all the time who do this, like vets in the Philippines, Thailand. I talk with them every single day. But to me, that's wild. Like, move to the other side of the planet to just date somebody, to be in a different culture. I mean, yeah, it's cheaper to live there. Yeah, okay, I got it. But still, like, that's wild to me that somebody would actually do that. Like, that's like a big step out of your bubble, you know? So, anyways, that's my big concern there. Now, as a comparison point to Trump, I've already done the Trump video. I think Trump has some positives and negatives. I think the country needs a strong border. I think the country needs a strong dollar. Maybe VP Harris will be able to go ahead and do a much better job than President Biden did when it comes to the economy. I don't know. Nobody knows. It's all too fresh. It's all way too new. All right, I will catch you guys a little bit later. I hope you understand that this is me telling you the negatives and positives of both sides. I didn't choose one party over another. I told you what's good or what's bad. Some people think I support Trump because I'm negative towards the Democrats on some things. Well, they're the ones in power. They're the ones with all the milk, right? They're the ones with all the muscle, right? They're the ones in power. Then some people think I support the Democrats because I said something neat about Trump, and then they get very upset. On this channel, I give you both sides, okay? And I give you my personal reflection on how the industry is going, what's happening with the SSA as somebody who works with them every single day. I will catch you guys a little bit later. I hope you're doing well. Please remember to like and subscribe. Also, head over to Google and type in disability resolution and throw some 5 stars up there. That's what YouTube has been training me to do. Go over there and basically throw some stars up on the board on Google. I always appreciate that for disability resolution. Additionally, I go live on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I did not go live this week. I was tired. I was overworked on the farm. I was very out of it. It was supposed to be a vacation, but I beat the hell out of my body doing that stuff. So I didn't go live. We will be going live tonight. I have to do one more video, and then we're going to be going live, and I'll be answering questions. With that said, if you need me to figure out something bigger, if you need me to answer something that's tougher, there's an option with a mini contract where you can hire me to do 1 hour where we put you on the hearing calendar. All right. And then you basically get a call for an hour and I figure out the issues and I give you a solution and a timeline of how to work on it. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Give me about 10 to 15 minutes to get it set up and we'll go from there. But if you search the actual YouTube channel, you'll see it. It's about, can the retired and the disabled get drafted? What would happen in a World War III scenario? Is it likely? Is it unlikely? I'll catch you there in the not too distant future. Give me 10 to 15 minutes and I'll see you soon. All right. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.